Hi everyone, welcome and happy Sunday to you all. So today's event is Hack Your Career this Hacktoberfest, which is brought to you by Codecell CMPN VESIT association with AutoDL under Hacktoberfest. We'll be talking about building your profile while you're still in college and how important extracurricular activities are, uh, and hear from our amazing speakers about the experiences. Coming to the host, allow me to introduce you to my wonderful co-host, Dheeraj, who is obsessed with drawing portraits, but is currently facing some audio issues. So I'm filling in for him. And my name is Sanika. I'm a rapper, writer, and designer. So without any further delay, let's begin. So welcome Sujit Kumar Singh. Sujit is a full stack software engineer currently working in PayPal's SAP environment team. Ever since his early BE years, his extracurricular participation is just impressive as his GPA. From being a first rank holder in his second year, holding multiple positions in different societies in VESIT, to now securing a package of 22 lakhs in PayPal. I'm sure his journey must have had its own twists and turns. So let's hear from the man himself, everybody. Welcome, Sujit. The stage is all yours.
Thank you, Sanika. That was a wonderful introduction. Thanks a lot for that, and thanks a lot for the entire team. As you can see, even I was a part of Codecell. I'm wearing the T-shirt. So once you are a part of Codecell, you'll always be a part of that. And so yeah, I'm currently working at PayPal in the SAP team. I'm a full stack engineer over there. Whether it's front end, back end, or cloud computing or DevOps, I'm a part of all of these. Along with that, I also train freshers. I have trained over 400 undergrads in the past 4 months. For off-campus placements, I have mentored them. I have done about thousands of resume reviews over the past 4 months. And along with that, I'm building a community of professionals who can help budding undergrads to crack that dream job, which is completely free of cost. So these are the things I'm currently working on. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn as well as mail. I'll share the links later on. So let's begin. Yeah. So after looking at this image, what comes to your mind? I would like the viewers to use the chat section. Let's keep it interacting. What do you see by this image? What comes to your mind when you say this? Great, Gautam, networking, right? Network. Okay. Om says network. Let me have a few more response. How many people do we have now? Okay. Okay, I think the people we have here are quite shy. Okay, great. So networking it is. Connections, Rahul, great. Yeah, connections. Okay, so this is basically a network of people. And today I'll talk about how networking and connecting with the people over the last 4 years of my undergraduate degree had helped me to crack PayPal and to be in a position where I am currently today, and how it had helped me to reach whatever competitions I have been to or whatever talk I have been given. So I'll be talking about how do you make connections, how connections are useful to you, and how in this current pandemic, how would you use virtual platforms to expand your networking. Okay, so moving on. Yeah, so now let me ask you, what is networking? What is the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear about networking? Come on guys, it has to be interactive. Okay, if I speak and you don't, and you are not interactive, I don't think it is useful. This is how you network. That is the first thing about networking, is interactions. Okay, networking means contacts. Okay, okay, Jay says contacts. Anyone else? What is networking? Not your computer networks. How has networking helped you? Which tools do you think you use for networking in this virtual world? Have you been a part of any networking group? Have you been a part of any such technical fest where you talked about networking? Communication. Okay, communicating. That's right. That is one of the most important parts of networking. That is communications, reaching about to your contacts, reaching about to like-minded people. All these things come under networking. So in a nutshell, Okay, communication between your society or field. That's great. Oh, yeah, that is correct. So networking, basically, when you are networking, you are sharing your ideas first of all. You are interacting with people who share similar ideas like yours. Who You are interacting with people who have certain belief and thoughts which incline towards yours. When you network, you are also able to find potential mentors for yourself. Believe me, I have met many people, almost 10 to 15 mentors I have been to, who are working in top companies, maybe like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, even at PayPal. I have found a lot of mentors, and networking has helped me do that. Next thing is collaborators. So I was a part of the project which was selected by Google, and that reached the semi-final levels. I had found a collaborator via LinkedIn for that project. So not only me, there are people who find who via LinkedIn get collaborators not only for their products, not only for the projects, but also for the startups. I have seen people find co-founders for the startups. So all these people which you're looking for are basically on LinkedIn and Twitter. I'm using LinkedIn, so I have been using LinkedIn a lot, not much Twitter. So if I'm using just LinkedIn, think of it like a networking site. Okay, I'm using it synonymously. Sorry. So potential co-founders, again, as I told, if you're using networking, there is a high chance that you will find like-minded people and also potential co-founders for your project ideas. So many of us has a belief that if we are building something in public, it will get leaked out and someone else might start using it idea. Believe me, it doesn't happen. Once you start speaking about your ideas, speaking about the products you are building on, you would find that how constructive criticism, how the help, how the beliefs of potential people who have had experience in such domain will help you to scale your products. Next thing is great friends. I have made a lot of great friends over LinkedIn. I have made friends from Delhi, I have made friends from Chennai, being living in Mumbai over the past 4 5 months, and it has been a great experience. People say that only social circles like Facebook or Instagram would help you do that, but believe me, you would find great friends via networking on social platforms like LinkedIn and Twitter. Again, potential client. If you have a startup, or if you have something of your own and you want clients for that, again, show your work on networking. Show your work your on your virtual sites like Twitter, Instagram, or LinkedIn. The more you show your work, the more potential clients you are getting. Next thing is job search. So majority of us have the notion that LinkedIn is only used for job search. No, LinkedIn has a lot of features which I'll be talking about later on, but job search is one of the main features which will definitely help you land your dream job. Obviously, networking has helped me convert my internship into full-time role at PayPal. Without networking, I don't think I would have been able to do that. Next thing is personal branding. So personal branding is important in today's world because you should have a brand for yourself, right? People know you because you are someone. People should know you as a brand. You should be able to share your work. You should be able to build a community where people are following you, where you are known for something. Let's say you are a YouTuber, then that is a brand for yourself. You are a YouTuber, you are creating that audience, you have worked on some stuff which now you're scaling. So that is a brand of yourself. Let's say you are good at writing, so you start writing blogs, you share your blogs, people interact with your blogs, then people are sharing your blogs. This is how your personal branding is recognized. Believe me, once you are into that track, there will be potential clients, potential co-founders, and like-minded people who would be approaching you for joining them along. If that need not be only for a job, that can be even for an internship or for other projects. So people will start reaching out to you. So one of the most important things of networking is personal branding. I hope that this slide has cleared some points as in what networking is and what are the different ways you can network and different advantages of networking. Let me move on to the next one. Okay, so for this I'll show you a mind map that how I started my networking before COVID. Like now, as I'm discussing these points, these are relevant to current time as we are not having social events. But again, how I started with. So my networking started back in second year. So we had Codecell had organized this hackathon where one of the judges was a part of Google Cloud Developer Groups. If you have heard of that before, you can Google it later on. So I interacted with him. I asked him, okay, hey, though I didn't win the project, but this is where my journey of networking started. So after I interacted with him, I asked him, okay, how do you think I can scale my project? How do you think what went wrong? do you think I can, join with you or connect with you somewhere, someplace else? So I got to know that he is also a part of Google Cloud Developer groups, in which we have such seminars where people interested in Google Cloud, come together, and we talk about the different tech stack which is available in Google Cloud, how also like how students can take benefits, how credits are available for students. So this is where my journeys of networking started. So as you see, I was not interested in cloud back then, but again, I went there for the networking purpose. Okay, I wanted to network and meet people who are coming there. So after this began my networking journey. So from this, I met people who were a part of Google Developers Group, who were a part of Flutter Group Mumbai. Again, a group of people who are currently working in Flutter and scaling it and discussing about the topics in which Flutter can be scaled and worked upon. Okay, I met people who had organized Firebase Summit. So this summit was a nationwide summit which took place in Pune. I'll talk about that later on. So again, from here, I got to know about people who are working in Women Who Code Mumbai, again, an open source organization which promotes the technology and working of women in the tech industry. So it is not just limited to women; anyone can participate in that. Again, from here, I started to know about something called as Kaggle Days Group, which is basically, again, they handle and organize the events on Kaggle. And again, there are a lot of perks apart from you get goodies and everything. You once you're part of this, you will get that, but those are secondary. What helped me is networking people. So you see, this one small event, it led to me being a part of a lot of other communities, right? So this is what networking is. Once I went here, I came to know that there are other groups as well. There are Google Developer, there is Flutter Group Mumbai, there is deeplearning.ai. Okay, so from Google Developers Group, I came to interact with Google Cloud experts. So what are Google Cloud experts? They are basically recognized cloud leaders by Google, who have the right to give talks and present demos on Google Cloud technologies. So again, I this helped me connect with people who are working in Google Cloud in industries. So Media Agility, sorry for the typo, it is a company which uses Google Cloud for its own infrastructure. So I got to interact with them, and I have, because of this, I helped one of my friend get into an internship from this company. Again, apart from this, I got into AWS users groups at all. So all of these things not need just not help me in improving my networking, but they also help me get to know about the different tech stack. I got credits, free credits for students. I got to work with them, I got to collaborate with them, and not to mention additional t-shirts, stickers, mugs, and other benefits. Again, so some of you might have attended a workshop of Kotlin which was organized last year. Again, I got to know about the speaker who is working in Paytm just because I met him in Google in Flutter Group Mumbai, again by networking. So by Firebase Summit, I got to know about people working in Pune. I went there, I talked with them, and from here I got one of my speakers of the event, which I'll talk about later on. So again, I learned the importance of community. I learned that from here itself, this was in my second year, that how communities are important and how it will be helping me. Again, you won't come to know about these things in the very beginning. Say, let's say the first year. Again, you it will be just you will think that why am I doing this? I should focus on some other things. But again, networking has its own benefit, which will be fruitful later on. So from Women Who Code Mumbai, I got to know about Kubernetes group. Again, I got to work on hands-on. I see in today's time, when you want a mentor for yourself, it is very difficult to get. If you are, for even for placements or for some, if you're learning from somewhere, they'll charge you maybe thousands of rupees for a particular course. But when you are networking and when you get to know people, you can directly approach them, even if you're having some doubts on your projects, and even if you want to learn something which they're currently working on. So that is one of the great things of networking. Again, I got to know about the Android developers. This was my first ever Hacktoberfest from Women Who Code Mumbai. Again, from Kaggle Days Mumbai, I started with my data science skills, which helped me become an ambassador of deeplearning.ai. You might have heard about Andrew Yang, one of the most respected teachers in deep learning and machine learning. I became the ambassador of Jovian, again because of Kaggle Days Mumbai. Then as I became an ambassador of deeplearning.ai, I had access to all the premium courses free of cost of deeplearning.ai, Tensorflow certification. Again, I had organized a pan-India machine learning event by Google Dev experts. So we just have, I guess, 12 to 13 Google Dev experts in machine learning all over the world. and out of those 3 to 4 people I personally knew, and they were ready to work with me and have workshops for me. So this was my entire networking journey from my college days till now, like how it helped me again. Sorry. So where does PayPal stand? So as you know, these many networking I have already been a part of. So now the compounding started. So when I was showing my work, when I was putting these things, when I was arranging workshops, so people saw me. So when I reached to people during my internships, or during my internship search, during my full-time search, when I interacted with them, when I sent them a cold message that, hey, I'm Sujit Kumar Singh, I currently working that. So you would be shocked to know that almost 40 to 50% of them already knew me because of my networking. They already have seen my work, they have already used to see my LinkedIn post, and that gave me an edge. So they were even ready to help me with my internship preparations, right? So you never know that how networking would help you. Now again, if like for the 3-4 months I haven't been a part of Google developers group, but again, if I want to jump back, I will definitely be allowed to, because I'm still a part of that. I still follow them, I'm still working on them. So you see how networking helps you, and how you can see that once you are into that, you would be able to explore any domain. So I got via Google Cloud, but as you can see, I got to know about machine learning, I got to know about DevOps, I got to know about cloud technology, I got to know about Android development, and like any technology which you want to. You just have to start somewhere. Okay, I hope this made sense to you all. So now there is a question for you. Have you been a part of any community? Like I had mentioned a lot of communities. Now you can also mention some technical communities in your college also. Use the chat feature. Just tell me which community you have been a part of, or you are wanting to be a part of. Just use the chat section, guys. Let's keep it interactive, okay? Is everyone asleep? Okay, let's move on then. Yeah, Jenkins community, Dheeraj, yeah, great. CNCF student community, great, great, yeah. So you might know the importance of community. Jenkins and all, yeah, they are great open source communities. Thank you, Dheeraj. Active Loop AI, okay, thanks, Rahul. Okay, so thanks a lot, guys. So I'll present the next slide now. Okay. So top networking tools currently, there are many, but two of the most important tools currently are LinkedIn and Twitter. So both of them have different audience. Both of them have different ways to approach. I would talk about LinkedIn because I have got a hands-on of LinkedIn. I wouldn't talk on Twitter because I myself have to explore that. So I'll talk about how do you use LinkedIn for, and different ways if you to use if you haven't started using it. Okay. Okay. Okay, guys. So first of all, as you all know, LinkedIn is basically used for building connections. You first of all, people who you know. So right now, even if you're in your first year, second year, third year, final year, doesn't matter. Okay. You can still be still start using LinkedIn. I have seen people started using LinkedIn after college, and I have seen so many freshers before even starting their college, they've started using LinkedIn. So just start using it if you haven't already. Send connection requests to people you know. Send connection requests to people working in your dream firm, dream company, or dream job. You can also send connection requests to people working on similar tech or ideas. There is just no stopping. You don't have to be shy here. First of all, this is not a platform for people who are feeling shy, or they just don't want to take the first step. LinkedIn is for people who would want to do that. Okay. And next thing is following people. Let's say even if the person doesn't accept your connection request, you can still follow him. There are a lot of industrial leaders who are currently active on LinkedIn, and they share a lot of thoughts and ideas. To name a few: Kunal Shah, then there is I guess Ankur Wariku, one of the co-founders of nearby.com. These people, they are sharing great stuff every day free of cost. Okay, so be a part of them. For these people, even if people don't, if first of all, always send a follow request with a short message that why you share similar ideas and why do you want to connect. If they are accepting your connection request, well and good. If not, then obviously you can stay following them. Next thing is following firms. Even this is quite important. Make sure that you just don't follow the big names. Okay, there are a lot of companies and startups who are sharing a lot of job openings via their via as posts on their pages. So follow firms as well. Follow the firms. You get to know about the tech stack the firm is working on. You get to know about the values and principles about the firm. You get to know there are, there are firms who also post about awards which are given to the people in their company, right? So in PayPal, we have something called a Spot Award, in which it is the people are recognized for the contribution and overwhelming work. So you get to know the active people over there, right? So you can follow those people as well. How will you know that if you're following that firm? Okay. Also, many firms also share their current openings via as direct posts on LinkedIn. So also make sure to keep a note of that. Next thing is how you are making your presence on LinkedIn. You should definitely try to post out. What you can post, you can start with a simple blog article, right? Anything which interests you, any project you're working on, or just how to set up a virtual. And so this was my first ever blog article. How do you set up a virtual environment in Python? Right? You can start with anything, doesn't matter. You're just getting started. Okay. Once you start working on, you can share it with people, and then ask some feedback for them. You can also share the projects you make, whatever projects you're making. You can make a short video, you can put it on GitHub, you can ask people to contribute, right? Then you can also post your GitHub profile or some other work profiles. Say you have worked continuously on lead code for their monthly challenge and you have maintained that streak, you can share that as well. Then you can ask people for help or collaboration. Let's say you are interested in a job or something, or you are working on a project and you want people to work on you. Instead of sending a cold message to a few people, you can directly make a post, right? Then you can also talk about the courses you are taking in your undergraduate degree or courses you are taking online. You can find potential people who are also taking that course, and you can do community studies, right? And any random thoughts. So you just have to post it if you're just getting started. Okay. And it need not be always you need not post every day as well. Once in a week, on a weekend, you can make a post. You just have to your presence over there. Okay. You just have to make a stand that, hey, that I am still there. Okay. I'm just not reading the post, but I'm also contributing. Now next thing is interacting with the audience. So not just interacting, I mean, you just don't have to react. Okay. You just have to push the like button or anything. You have to comment your ideas as well. There can be a post which you are inspired. If you have read about someone's projects you find interesting, you can post about that. You can also ask for a collaboration on the project which the people shared. And they're not talking about commenting interesting. Okay. I have seen many people just comment interested on job posts. That doesn't work. Okay. I'm talking about important comments, like as I told, I'm interested into work. I have a certain idea. Would you like to collaborate? This sounds great. I have this notion as well. You can start taking polls. If you are into designing or something, you can just put 2 or 3 different versions of a particular design, and then you can take a poll to know that which one do you think works better. You would also, people are like to interact 5 to 6 times more when a certain thing is posted as a poll. Okay. So these are a few hacks which you can use to build your community via LinkedIn. Now, showing up every day. Yeah, you have to show up literally every day. Let's say you don't want to post every day, you want to post once in a week, but at least, react to some of the posts every day. Also check your job postings. You can also put job alerts over LinkedIn. So make sure that you do that, because believe me, guys, I have seen this, that some of the job posts are taken down within a day. Some posts not within a day, just within 6 to 7 hours of posting. Right. So a good time to being active is from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. or in the morning, like 9 to 11 a.m. Be active. Check for job postings literally every day. Just spend almost 25 minutes daily on LinkedIn. Okay. You can reduce that time from your Instagram or other social networking and devote your time here. Okay. Now, another very important thing which I like is cold messaging. Cold messaging basically means reaching out to random people who share your ideas for something that interests you or some other idea which you want to work on. Now you can directly reach out to people for referrals. Okay, it had helped me a lot. You should always reach out for off-campus jobs via referrals, right? Reach out to 10 to 12 people working over there, then ask them for referrals. Now cold messaging you can also use for collaborating on projects. You can directly message message industry experts for their reviews and also for some mentorship, for connecting to people we don't know. Let's say the people you are connecting with, he doesn't know you, but still you are very much interested by looking at his work. You can directly message him that, hey, I like your work, I like the tech stack which you're working on, I would like to be a part of that. Now this cold messaging helped me personally a lot during my placements. Also during my internships, I connected with a lot of people working in PayPal, so to get to know to work ethics and other things to make my internship to a full-time role. Also during my internship hunt, I got a few referrals because I showed up every day, because I had been a part of the communities and networking a lot. So if you want, you can take a screenshot of this, right? You can use this. These are a few tricks and method which you can use to follow LinkedIn. I hope someone might have told me back in my second year when I started using. But anyways, the more you explore yourself, the more better you get, right? Okay, I hope everyone it's good now. Now just 1 or 2 slides left. Okay, so if you're feeling bored, stay strong. There's 2 more slides to go. Okay. Okay. Now, LinkedIn, everyone might know this. So another question for you guys, what do you think is the most used feature of LinkedIn? You might have used different features. There is a feature for polling, there is a feature for messaging, there is a feature for job search, there is a feature for viewing profile, there is a feature for sending requests, connections. What do you think is the most used feature of LinkedIn? Anyone? Job search and connections. Okay. Sending connection request, I think. Okay. Searching of job. Okay. Poll. Okay. Polls. Okay. So you folks might be surprised to know that the most used feature of LinkedIn is viewing profiles. Okay. Yeah, this might be a surprise for you, but it's true. Almost these are not my words. I had read a blog which was published by LinkedIn. So viewing profiles is the most used feature. So make sure that your profile is up to date. You regularly update your profile. Whichever internships you have worked on, you put that on your profile. Whichever courses you're taking on, you put that. Then your education, your interests, your GitHub profiles, and every other profile, make sure that you use that. Okay. Now, how my off-campus journey had helped me. Obviously, the one thing that helped me was networking, as I told already. Next thing, I made sure that I worked on certain projects, gave me some edges, and there was internships as well. So again, guys, networking helped me get my internships as well. Okay. Two of my online internships was via LinkedIn through networking. Okay. And again, resume. So I would share some tips which you can use for making sure that your profile stands out apart from networking. Okay. Yeah. So I won't take much time. Many of you might be aware of this. So make sure that when you're making projects, I highly stress on making a portfolio website. Okay. If you're looking for making a project, but you don't have any idea where to start with, please make a portfolio website. Okay. You make a portfolio website, make sure that it is not a standalone. You host it, you have a link of your own, whatever. If you haven't explored, check out GitHub Student Developer Pack. You would get your own domain for free of cost. Next thing, you can make an e-commerce or to-do list, dashboard, social media app. Make sure that it is a full stack application. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Tejas. Add at least one feature to existing projects. Again, whatever these projects I've talked about, e-commerce, to-do list, dashboard, make sure that you add at least one unique feature which is of your own. The feature need not be working completely. It might still be in the idea stage, but you can still talk about it, right? With APIs. So COVID-19 API, there is Google Maps API, there is YouTube API. if you are a front end developer who wants to make a career on in front end, you would have to, at some point of time working with APIs so that you can completely focus on the front end and leave the back end completely with APIs. Okay. Then making a CRUD application. CRUD is basically create, read, update, delete. So whatever applications you see currently, full stack applications like Amazon or Spotify, most of them are CRUD applications. Or a banking system, you create, or any social media app, you create posts, you read the post, you update your post, you delete your post. Now, another projects which you can work on are blockchain based projects, cloud or DevOps based projects. So again, if you're making a portfolio website, make sure that you deploy it on some cloud platform using a VM so that you can say that you have worked on that tech as well, right? Again, many of you might have used machine learning or image processing in your projects, but until and unless you have done something which has increased the accuracy of the model than compared to previous one, it won't be any fruitful. Okay, so make sure that you do that. Again, open source projects, again, this entire event is also open source projects. I was never into that, but again, these, the double plus wins, these are very important. Okay, this will surely help you a lot. Now, education. Now, next thing for off-campus placement is resume. So I'll talk about how do you make a good resume for your the points which you should add in your resume to make your resume stand out for during placements. So always start with your education. As we are freshers, whatever you are majoring in, make sure that you add it. If you have good pointers, let's say above 8, make sure you add that as well. Again, when you are describing about your high school, talk about the vocational courses. Like I took computer science, so I talked about that. I had a good percentage, I talked about that as well. But if let's say your percentage you according to you is not good, let's say just in 70s, you should avoid doing that, right? Because these things are important as long as you are working consistently. Okay, so that is what matters. So if you are good in middle school, if you were you got a good percentage, if you had a good score, do mention that, else it is completely fine. Now, projects, what you should do is you should always try to sell your projects in your resume. Okay, you have to just have 2-3 points, but you should try to put it in such a way that the person reading it gets impressed. Okay, it should has to be just one line description and one line text tag, but you should describe it in such a way that it has something unique. Okay, so one small analogy is the advertisement which you view during sports. They only have 6 to 8 seconds, but that makes a huge impact, right? So compare that to your projects. You just have 2 to 3, and you have to describe it properly. Again, if you are not sure that whether it will work or not, get talk to your seniors or get your resume review. You should have at least 3 good projects in your resume, minimum 3. Okay, which you think are very good, and the reviewer would be impressed. Okay, and you should always talk about the improvements you have made, or the features you have added, or the accuracy which you have achieved in this one line of description, right? Because a CRUD application or an e-commerce website, no one is fishing to read, because there might be thousands of other applications having the similar ones. Okay, what unique feature have you added? You should talk about that. Again, very important point, whatever projects you have added, that should be on your GitHub, or better host it. Okay, or better make a working demo of that project and upload it on YouTube, right? And add the hyperlink of that project under your resume section. So while I'm hovering over the project name, it should take me to the project's link, right? I have added that, and I had received a lot of applause for that from my managers. Okay, and I have guided over 500 students to do that. So make sure that you do it. Again, portfolio website, I cannot stress more, make a portfolio website. It is very important currently. Okay, again, just one line description and one line text tag. Now, after projects, another important thing is skills. Okay, you should know one object oriented programming language. It can be C++, Java, or C. Okay, but make sure that make sure that you can write a code. When, how do you know that you know a particular coding language? If I give you a problem statement, Java should be your choice of language if you think that you know that language, right? You should be at least be able to code the basic programming, the basic structures in C++ or Java or C. Again, web dev, don't start with React or Laravel or Django. Start with JavaScript, PHP, and Python. Start with the fundamentals. JavaScript is a must. Start with JavaScript, then move on to any of the frameworks. Mobile, you can go native or Kotlin or Flutter or React Native. Anyone works, but make sure that if you're working with mobile app, publish it on the Play Store. Okay. Again, very important skills, soft skills. You should have good communication skills. Start working on if you haven't already. You can show your leadership skills if you are a part of any project which you led, because these things are important. Obviously the reviewer would come to know about your hard skills via your projects, but soft skills you should definitely put, because these are something which the reviewer will check during interviews also, right? So make sure that whatever you put, you abide by them and you have as a skill, right? Next thing about internships, this is slightly different than your projects. Apart from the project which you worked on, you should talk about the value which you added to the organization. You can talk about the different tech stack that you worked for the organization. Okay, again, you can upload your internship certificates on Drive and add hyperlink under the company's name in your internship section of your resume. Okay, you can ask your employer to give a recommendation on LinkedIn, right? Very important points, make sure you take a note. Again, for profiles, make sure that you add your GitHub, your coding profile. If you have a Stack Overflow profile, great. Portfolio site, whatever profiles you have, add them to your resume. Okay. Now, achievements, extracurricular activities, these are not compulsory, but if you have any, let's say if you are good at singing, you're good at drawing, you can add that. But again, don't fake it here, right? Make sure that it is valid. Apart from this, internships I covered. Problem solving, I was not great at problem solving. You can check CodeChef, LeetCode, and other sites for that. So in a nutshell, this was a small, a roadmap of how you approach off-campus placements. If you can take a screenshot, please do it. If you want, I can share it to you later on. Okay. Okay. So apart from this, an ending note, make sure don't always hang on with your own herd. Sorry for the typo. It means that just don't interact with people whom you share your interest with. Okay. It can, let's say you're not into writing, but still you can react on someone's blog. What if later on the person might help you? And it did happen with me. So if you're using LinkedIn, make sure that your community is not biased. Okay. Yes, Dhananjay, I would share these roadmaps. Okay. So whomever you are hanging with, make sure that you be polite first of all. Okay. Also, don't judge anyone by what they post. Everyone is a fresher. Everyone has their own story, whether it's a writer, whether it's a company. If someone has hurt you, also make sure that whatever you are putting on social media will be staying on social media throughout. Okay. So also be a part of online fights which goes on. I don't know what they are. Okay, the influencers and everyone, don't be a part of that. We are still learning. You don't know that how it might affect you later on. Okay. So that's it with my talk. Thanks a lot for listening patiently and answering the questions. Now over to you. Do you have any questions for me, guys? Any questions? Okay, you can type your questions. I'll give you 2 more minutes. Apart from that, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn if you have any queries regarding your career, or resume review, or your in LinkedIn profile review, or any project which you're working on. You can mail me here as well. I try to reply to all my LinkedIn questions. And thanks a lot, guys. Yeah, thanks for hosting me, Codecell and AutoDL.
Awesome. So, am I audible?
Yes, yes, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. So, thanks a lot. And just a quick reminder. So, since all of us, the participants here, are mainly from, they're basically college students. So, I would like to reiterate the fact that Sujit here is an excellent resource for us, as he has achieved such brilliant heights, and we should take this opportunity to ask any questions that some of you as college students would be having. So feel free to type any questions that you have for him, and don't be shy.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I've got a few questions. Uh, how to start from zero now? So let's say you have not been using LinkedIn, you are just getting started with. So now is the time, right? Like no one had told me the roadmap of how to use LinkedIn. Okay. Now you know. that how to get started with. Now you know that first thing you can do is making connections. You can follow people, you can follow firms, right? You can start with the, let's say you have one project, you want to make a post, just make a saying that this is my first post on LinkedIn. Okay, and people would be generous enough to like and share it, and that would be a great start. Okay, if you're talking about LinkedIn, or you're talking about networking, if you're talking about networking, again, don't be shy, guys. For the first 3-4 months, I myself had used to just roam in networking events, stand there, used to go only for the goodies. But that is not what it is for. The goodies, though it seem awesome, the main thing you are going is to know the people who are there, right? So again, break the ice. Always try to be the person who breaks the ice in the room, right? You can make some pointers that how do you start a conversation with someone or something like that, but you have to take an initiative. Taking the initiative is very important. Okay, if you are quite, you don't have any ideas like how to start writing a blog or anything, start at least following people, start reacting to people's comments, start commenting to people. Okay, is there an importance of Coursera certificate? No, there is no importance of Coursera certificate. There is any, like, not just Coursera, any certification has zero importance until and unless you know the skills or you have applied the skills to any project. Okay, uh, for a even if you have certain very good projects, even the internship doesn't matter much. Okay, because anyways the recruiter is only worried about or interested in the application of those certificates or anything. Okay, how would you create a balance between your college life and self-study? Okay, so obviously I wouldn't give this as a suggestion. You have to manage your college in such a way that, so first of all, during when the colleges were open, these networking events used to happen only on weekends. Okay, so it was not a problem. Also, that I had good attendance during important lectures, so I could I always maintain my attendance. Okay, 75% criteria, I always maintained it. So I never used to bunk for fun or anything. I used to bunk lectures only if there was some important event on a weekday, but mostly it was on a weekend. So that is one of the things. For online, I used to be active on weekends. Like I had dedicated 30 minutes every day, right from second year, to do any activity which is related to either networking or LinkedIn, right? So that was a thing. That is the way I created a balance between my college life and self-study. Regarding job search, uh, for second year, see, don't hunt for companies, upskill yourselves. Okay, this is not the time when you should think about which company should I apply for. This is the time to think which skills you should develop. And one of the things which I have always told students is keep exploring. Okay, as I told that I have explored Android, cloud development, then machine learning, web development. I had explored a lot of technologies, and because of that I came to know that, okay, this thing interests me, right? So don't worry about job search or anything in your second year. Try to build yourself, try to make a brand of yourself, try to work on tech and see what interests you. Ashish, can you reach out to me on my mail or LinkedIn? I would give you some tips on cold emailing. I have some templates which you can use. Actually, my question is, many of us have not even studied a single word, and how things are really overwhelming. Okay, whoever this is, anonymous messaging me, can you please reach out to me on LinkedIn? I would love to, take your questions over there. Yeah, thanks, Anika, for sharing this. If there are certain questions which you don't feel comfortable asking me here, you can reach out to me over there. Also, guys, I have another meeting at 12:30, so I have to leave. If you have any other question, you can reach out to the host or directly to me on LinkedIn. Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Sure, sure. Thanks a lot, Sujit, for being here.
Yeah. Thanks, AutoDL and Codecell. Thanks a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, quick reminder to the participants once again. Thanks a lot for these questions, and it shows that how eager you are to explore things and interact and learn from the speakers. And the good thing is we have few more speakers for you, and you would love to know more about them and ask. So keep these questions coming. Now, so I'm very happy to introduce you to our next speaker. Her name is Sneha Kartik. And so she likes to describe herself with these three words: enthusiastic, energetic, and vibrant. And rightfully so. And also, she's an avid learner herself. And Sneha has worked in fields of design, marketing, event management, and web development as well. And currently, she's on a journey to encourage people to embrace their creative passions. And Sneha has founded her own startup called Pipory, and it's a social media platform that rewards people for pursuing their creative ambitions. So, a warm welcome to you, Sneha. So, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Sneha Kartik, and as Dheeraj has already done most of my introduction, so to quickly, tell you a little bit about me, I'm currently a third year student at VESIT, and just for a heads up, all of you guys just heard Sujit talk, and I was one of those people who actually reached out on him on LinkedIn as well, and he's really been of great help. So I will go ahead and really tell you guys and encourage you guys to just hit him up if you have anything with respect to your resume or anything of those sorts. He'll really be of a huge help. In addition, I am currently having my own startup, which is called Pipory. As Dheeraj said, Pipory is a social media platform which actually encourages static creativity. So, what is static creativity? It's everything about poetry, art, photography, and all of the things that I think we as engineers just consider it as hobby and keep it somewhere in the shelf and let it, rot. So, all of those small things that actually make us who we are. In addition to that, I have been into a lot of fields. When I was in the first year, I kept going on and exploring and gaining some experience about what really is my thing. And from there on is where my journey really started in figuring out what I really wanted to do. In addition to that, I'm currently doing a course. I got shortlisted for a course at Harvard Business School online for it's called as the Credential of Readiness, which is basically a mini MBA sort of a thing where they teach you about business analytics, finance, and economics. And it's a great course. So without any further ado, I will be telling you a few things today. And that's basically going to be about how to find your jam and how to make your resume and a little bit about my startup and the things that you should know if you're trying to start your own gig. So can someone just tell me if they can see my screen? Give me a second. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Yep.
Okay. So I think everyone knows that Amir Khan once said that बच्चा काबिल बनो काबिल कामयाबी तो साली झक मार के तुम्हारे पीछे भागेगी. This is one thing that I have relied on for a very long time, is that I'm going to work for making my skills and I'm just going to let everything take the role after that. So here's what is the roadmap that I had as a first year student. When or a first year, second year, third year, wherever you are, you can definitely go ahead and work this out. It is the roadmap of finding what you truly love. As a 12th grader who took science, I always thought engineering was my thing and this is it. Okay, this is it. I just need to do it. But once you join engineering, you really realize that there's a plethora of things to do. There's machine learning, there's IoT. Some may even end up liking business in the middle of doing engineering, or some may even like sales and marketing. And that's the best part about engineering. You're around people who are experimenting and you're experimenting yourself. So the rule number one about finding your jam is experiment, experiment, experiment. Whatever point in life you are, remember that you can't do something or you can't career out of something if you don't really, really love it. And and a 9 to 5 job is not fit to you. So this is one thing I did. As a first year student, I was in sales and marketing. I was into event management. I was into digital marketing. I was into web development. And that's after all of these 4-5 jobs or, experiences that I got, I understood that I like none of them. And that's when I got into machine learning. So I'm a machine learning enthusiast and I love doing machine learning in comparison to product development. So all you need to do is understand what you really love and what's going to make you grow. Okay. So keep experimenting in your first, second, and third years if you really have a goal that you want to work towards. Second, work on it. As everyone would say, as a third year student, when I was in first year, I always thought Coursera was it. You need to know, you need to get Coursera skills. You need to have the tons of certifications. Your parents will come and tell you that get certifications, but certifications are not the thing. You are nothing if you don't have the skills. Coursera is not going to help you in a lot of ways. Here's my experience why. And the reason being, I feel like Coursera information is very crammed up and is very less in comparison to what we actually want to learn. So what I would suggest is go ahead, hit YouTube, go for free code camp, or maybe there are quite a few people who give like 8 or 9 hours tutorials on different things. How I learned JavaScript was over a 9-hour tutorial, and you might think that I sat for 9 hours, but I really didn't. I took like around 2 weeks to finish it, but it's fine. It's much better than going over at a Coursera course, paying money, paying up, and not being able to extract anything out of it. Third, experience. I strongly believe that you will never know what your true potential is till you actually gain some experience. And that is why I'm a firm believer of internships. I'm a firm believer of going ahead and, working out at different places, connecting and growing a work ethic. So gaining experience is like a very, very important thing for you to do. Can someone just tell me on the chat box if they have been doing any internships or they are searching for internships? That would be great. I would love to know. Are there anyone? Okay, I do see. Great. So Dheeraj is doing an internship. Neeraj is searching for one. Great, amazing. So I'll surely be sharing about what are the sites that I really got used to and where I apply for internships. So that is the third thing. Gain some experience. No matter what, do go ahead and try out different things. Even if your work experience might be bad, you might still extract something out of it. Lastly, fourth one is still your jam. After you do the step 1, 2, 3, and you come to the fourth, you start questioning, is it really my thing? Because this happened to me 4 times after doing digital marketing. I didn't feel it. So I was just like, leave it. Let's just drop it and move to something else. The point is you don't sit and dwell on something, you move on from it. And after a lot of time, after around a year, never think that you spending time and experimenting is a waste. It is actually a very important part of your life. And it's very important for you to experiment so you can pull them out for good. It shouldn't be that you go ahead, you're somewhere 40 years down the line and you look back and you're just like, oh, wait, I didn't get experience with this. So go ahead and do what you love. Even if it's something everyone says that you shouldn't do. Go ahead, do it, experience it, rule it out if it doesn't work out for you. Nothing is too less or too big for you. So figure it out if it's still your jam. If it's not your jam, it's time you drop it. If it is your jam, go ahead and work on your goal. Your goal could be anything. If you're a business person, it could be starting up your own business. If it is about getting this big fancy job at a big company, it would mean you need to put in a lot of effort when it comes to interviews or, preparing for a coding interview or anything of that sort, building your confidence for interviews. All of those things really matter when it comes to working towards your goal. Before I go ahead, why doesn't someone just tell me what are the sites they use for internships? I would love to hear you guys out. Does anyone have any sites they use? LinkedIn, okay. Internshala, AngelList. I like Mukul, that's a good one. AngelList, great. Vaishnavi Dwivedi says AngelList, LinkedIn, Twitter. Agreed. Okay, so moving on to the next slide. So where do I find internships? This is the question that everyone goes crazy about. I have 4 sites in front of you, and these are the most commonly used sites. These are the sites I used. Glassdoor is a great site. Different thing, the calls will drive you crazy. But Glassdoor is a great site for you to find internships. Just Google internships up and you might always end up on Glassdoor sites. Second is LinkedIn. LinkedIn, you just need to go hit your network and you will find out exactly what you do and where you need an internship from. Third is Internshala. I'm personally not a big fan of Internshala. I used to use Internshala on a very early stage in my life, but eventually I realized that AngelList was a better option, and I'll tell you guys why. So Internshala has a lot of startup options that you have, which are limited in India, but as you might have seen in the news and long time before, there has been some mishaps that took place about the payments and all of that certifications. So I would suggest you could shift to AngelList. Now, AngelList is one of my favorite places for an internship. AngelList is a place where startups come up and they put on requirements that they have. And these startups are anywhere across the world. Okay. And you really end up finding like really fun jobs and really fun communities where you can work with. So these are the 4 sites. If you have any questions about it, do drop it in the chat box. I will definitely let you guys know. If you want me to share my screen and show you what AngelList is, because AngelList is something very few people know of. Not quite a lot of people know. Everyone just thinks there's only Internshala in India, but there's a lot more sites where you can go ahead and find internships. Now coming to the important question, okay? Who on earth are you? So why don't you guys tell me who on earth are you on the chat box? I want to hear what you guys think about yourself. It's a very skeptical and cynical question, but I want to know what you guys think about yourself. Really, we don't have anyone chatting on the box. Chatting on the box. Okay, we don't have anyone. Okay, Neeraj Chawla says he's human. Great answer. Anyone else? A learner. Great. I think everyone here is a learner. Do we have anyone else? Okay, I'm not sure if we do. Okay, so who on earth are you is a very important question that you need to ask yourself. What exactly defines you? Okay, you're not trying to be someone else. You need to understand who you are and what exactly defines you. Here, I'm going to be talking about my resume and everything that I have written and the best way I could put my point forward. Everyone has always told me that a resume needs to be a certain way. Well, I took a step back and I designed my resume based on who I actually am and what portrays the best of me. So just let me know if you can still see my screen. If you can't, I'll stop and reshare it. Is it still visible? Hiraj, can you just tell me?
It is visible. I think this presentation is visible. If you're sharing the resume,
I'm sharing something.
I'm seeing who on earth are you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, fine. This is.
Yep. Yes, I see your local. Okay, now I see your resume.
Okay, fine. So this exactly in front of you is my resume, and I didn't follow the usual way people actually, go ahead and build a resume. My resume is actually a pitch deck of myself. So as you can see over here, I pitch myself and my personality to the people who are actually having a look at my resume. And a lot of the time, this has helped me stand out when I've tried to get an internship or something of that sort. So very basically what I do is that I make a 1-pager resume. You may have a lot of things to do, but actually sit and assess what is exactly important. You may have won a competition in 5th grade. You may have competition. You may have won a billion competitions over the years, or you may have done nothing, or you have something or the other. But you need to assess if all of these are exactly things I need to put on my resume. And most of the times you'll realize no one actually gives a damn about it. You need to make sure that you prioritize what people really want to see about you. And how do you do that is by pointers. The key to make a good resume is to not write paragraphs. Paragraphs never work. You always, for anything, be it a presentation, be it a resume, need to go ahead with pointers. So I have around 7 or 8 pointers about who I really am. So it really talks about what I love to do. And as much as people do want to see what your tech background or your business background is, you need to talk about what life you have apart from this as well. Okay. People don't really want a person who is just sitting and doing coding on one end, or, is just sitting and doing the business front on one end, when they actually know that you have other things that interest you, which could be anything, gaming, swimming, or playing badminton. It could be anything. you need to make sure that you mention that so that it shows that you're an all-round person. You have an all-round development going on for you, which is a very important thing that a lot of people forget. So to break it down very quickly, towards the left-hand side, I have a little bit about myself. So I have a zeal for life and love, taking life with the flow and all of those things, what my hobbies really are. You may see my hobbies, you may think it's something with why is she mentioning it on her resume, but it actually shows that I have a life beyond just working for my career. I do focus on other things which are meant for me. And that's exactly why I focus on my all-round development. So you talk about binge reading, maybe fiction, non-fiction, watching tech shows, listening to music, and debating. I've been a debater and an orator for the past 8 years. And all of these things are really important and a really huge part of my life. You mentioned the important things with an underline. I co-founded a company for static creativity, which is my startup right now. And that I'm a national level swimmer and a school team table tennis player. Apart from that, what I really love to do is I love the Venn diagram that involves intersection of technology, innovation, and management. So this actually shortlists you for a certain kind of a job. Mine would be product development or something else of those sorts. So this is basically how you can go ahead and start a little bit about your resume. Okay, you pitch yourself, be creative. You can do anything you want. We're living in the 21st century, but we're having, maybe not in a big MNC. MNCs have data extractors from resume where they just pick out information from resume. And that's exactly why you need to label things properly. We have leadership roles, we have education qualification, and we have tech stacks over here, and we have LinkedIn handles and everything. These gets automatically filled when you go to some internship site. But if your resume is actually going in someone's hand, they want to see how interesting and different you are. And this goes without saying, even for like colleges that you're applying for your master's and all of that. They want to see how unique, how different you can be, and how you stand out from the crowd. And it's very, very, very important to stand out from the crowd. Now, as Sujit already told you guys in the previous session, education qualification, I have mine mentioned. Of course, if your education qualification isn't what you expect it to be or isn't at par, it's totally fine. People don't really focus so much about it. They just want to see how consistent you have been. So for me, in my case, I have my grade 10, grade 12, and my current GPA, and it has been a consistent slope. That's exactly what people want to see, that I have maintained my consistency over the past 8 or 9 years or 6 or 7 years as and when. Now, coming to leadership roles, I have mentioned what other leadership roles I have had. A good leadership role is as important as having a great tech stack for yourself. Why is that? Is because if you can handle your technology aspect and your leadership aspect, people think you can go ahead and lead teams, okay? And you can be a good role model to people and, guide people forward. So it's very, very important for you to mention leadership roles. It may be as simple as you being a leader of a hackathon that you went forward to, or anything of those sorts. Now, in my leadership roles, I've mentioned something I did in 5th grade. I was the head girl back in 5th grade. So I mentioned that. I mentioned the press head, Myth Fresher, and a few other things that have been mentioned over here. Apart from that, I interned at a really amazing place called Botcard and Adlin Lab. So I made sure that I mentioned what I worked over there as and what I'm doing right now in Codecell, which is a technical manager. Apart from that, I'm also a debate manager. So all of these things were mentioned in my resume. And it is very important that you do build your extracurriculars apart from, the life that you have right now. Can someone quickly drop on the chat box while I continue speaking? What are the extracurriculars you guys are interested in? And what do you do for fun apart from just building your own career in life? I would love to hear you out. I'll just continue and keep going with what I'm actually saying. So getting into business, I've mentioned my programming languages. Now, a lot of you might think that, oh, she's just mentioned her programming languages as it is, but no, I've mentioned it in an order of which I'm best at. I am good at Java. I would say I would rate myself as an intermediate. So wherever I get an excuse, I end up using Java. If you're aiming for a computer science job, make sure that you have one programming language that you can fall back on. Why? Because it's going to be very useful if you're trying for an MNC where you have problem solving questions. You need to have at least one programming language that you can lean back on. That could be Java if you are into Java, or it could be C, C++, or anything of those sorts. Apart from that, you have frameworks, softwares, and libraries that I have mentioned. I have stuff that I've learned with ML, which I have mentioned over here. And I have the UI, UX design softwares that I know, and the database management systems I know, and the runtime environments that I know. So all of these are important things to keep in mind, okay? You make sure that you have one programming language you can lean back on. You have one, you know JavaScript because it's important for backend. And on the front end aspect, maybe if you're into mobile development, then learn Flutter, because Flutter is the new in thing in town, because it helps you make an iOS as well as an Android app, cross-platform applications. So Flutter is the new in thing that you can go ahead and build and work and learn. And apart from that, you have a multitude of things that you can go ahead for web development. So that is pretty much it. In addition, make sure that you mention your LinkedIn handle, and don't just put it there, make it clickable, because it's very important that people can actually redirect to your LinkedIn handle. I'm not logged in over here, but it's very important that you can redirect to your LinkedIn handle on this PDF site. You mention your company website if you have one, you mention your GitHub link, and you have any other exciting things that you have. It could be as simple as maybe a profile that you built out. My Behance account is a UI UX design that I worked with, which it's not getting, wait 1 second. I need to log in for that, but I've mentioned it on my resume because all of these things play a very important role at this point. In addition, as I've mentioned, what am I up to right now? Tell your interviewers what you're doing right now, okay? Make sure that you tell them what you're doing right now, okay? Because they want to know that you're not just stuck up in the past and you just know it now and you're not planning to move forward with it. So I've mentioned how I'm trying to upskill myself by learning maybe MongoDB or doing cake surfing through Kaggle for more websites, open sourcing, solving DSA, focusing on my company launch. All of these are few things that you should make sure that you have mentioned, okay? And end it off on a cheerful note. I'm not saying that this kind of a resume may work out for everyone, but it does work out for me because I want to make sure that I stand out in comparison to other resumes, which may be to the point, of course, which may be exactly what interviewers are looking for. But sometimes interviewers are seeing approximately like hundreds of 200s of resumes. So you may want to as well be the one who lighten up their mood and, be the one who stands out. And that actually gives you an edge in a lot of places. So that's about my resume. There's one who has actually mentioned about what they really like to do, but that's okay. We'll just move ahead. Remember, if you're the smartest person in the class, you're in the wrong class. You may think that you're the smartest, but it's the sad truth, we're not. Every now and then, all around us, we have quite a few set of people who are super smart, and you think that I'm smarter than them, and that's pretty much it. You're just in a college sitting with 200 to 500 people, but there are people across the world and everyone's upskilling themselves. There is no one who is the smartest. You need to make sure that you keep comparing yourself with different people in terms of what they have learned. By comparing, I don't mean comparing yourself as a person, comparing what you can do to make yourself better, comparing yourself with who you were in the past. Now, starting your own company, be crazy. It's as simple as that. Why am I saying be crazy? You might have any idea in this world and you might think it's not good enough, but you need to go ahead and implement it. If not implement it, at least see if it works out. My company was started with one of my friends where we came up with this idea of Dwivedi. When we started it off, we thought it was a little off charts, may not work out. But after a year, we have managed to finish the application and we're going to maybe very soon launch it on Play Store after we're done with A/B testing. And for us at this point, we don't know if it'll stick in the market, but all we know is that we were crazy enough to go ahead, implement it and have the guts to actually work on it and make it out there. So that is the most important thing about starting your own company. You have to be crazy. You need to make sure that what you're doing is right. At least for once. It may not work out, but put in all the confidence that you have in yourself into your startup so you can go ahead and make it work. At least, if not for anyone else, for yourself. So I think that is one very important thing to keep in mind when you have a startup idea. Remember that any idea that you have, you're not the first person who had it. We are approximately 7 to 8 billion people on this planet, and someone out there might have had the same idea. But it's all about how you make sure that you're different, what your USP is, and how you want to stand out with your product. Are we having anyone over here who is interested in maybe doing a startup or something of that sort? If you are, do hit me up. I can definitely give you a few notes on how we can go ahead with it. So we have Neeraj who is interested in startups. Is there anyone else? Okay, I'm guessing there are a few more. Yeah, okay. So we do have Gautam and a few other people who are interested in doing their own startup. Okay, so we have quite a few people who are interested in doing a startup. So this is the main important thing, that is be crazy. It always works for you if you are going to move ahead and try to build your own business. Now, coming to the next slide, be shameless. My PPT may not be something which gives you stuff to the point, but these are exactly the points that you need to know while starting a business. It is to be shameless. And why am I saying that you need to be shameless? Is because you have to do a hell a lot of networking. And by that, I mean cold emails. You need to text random people on LinkedIn. You need to email random people just to make sure that they actually go ahead and connect to you. My friend and I, who started this business, had gone to such an extent that we sent an email with the subject line saying that your payment is overdue. And why did we do that? Is just so they can open our email and see what we had in it for us, okay? What we were trying to pitch to them about our company. And we emailed out to a lot of people, and you will be surprised by how many people actually reply back. Cold emails are one very fun yet tiring thing to do, okay? You email 100 people, 10 may reply back. It's a very, very bad conversion rate, but 10 may reply back. Those 10 may actually be helpful, okay? So we reached out to around 100 to 200 people, and 10 to 15 of them replied back saying that, yes, we can connect with you. And these were people who owned very popular startup apps. I don't know how many of you know of Meme Chat and a few other startups that we have. Meme Chat, there was Steps at Go, and all of these guys actually are people who may have earned the success, but are still very humble and down to earth, and they will connect with you. Coming to LinkedIn, be shameless and network, okay? I had this trick, which I would love to share with you guys, is if you're attending a course by maybe some Harvard professor, or maybe by some Ivy League teacher, or by someone you really want to connect to and work under, okay? A lot of my friends who are into research do this. There are professors from maybe IIT Kharagpur or somewhere else who actually do these presentations or sessions. How do you get in touch with them? Is you quote something that they said in the session and say that this really inspired me. I think this is a key that everyone knows, but this is for everyone who doesn't. Do it this way. Take a point from their session or presentation, explain why you like that point, and just say that I really think I can, improve myself by connecting with you. So would you please like to connect with me? And you will be surprised by the number of times people will actually connect with you. And networking and LinkedIn is a huge, huge, huge place which will actually benefit you. And the reason why I am saying this is I found a lot of investors, I found a lot of mentors who were actually interested in my company through LinkedIn. A lot of times it may not convert into an actual contract, or it may not actually convert into something good, but it is worth a shot. It's as simple as that. So a lot of the times we got connect investors who actually heard out our idea, who said that, okay, we may not be willing to invest in your idea, but here are the things that you improve to make your idea better. Okay. So these are a few things that you should keep in mind is be very, very shameless. Okay. You may think that you're sending an email to the CEO of Google, okay? But it's worth a shot. Go ahead, send an email. He may reply, his receptionist may say he's busy, but so what? Get the reply back, get the rejection or whatever it is. It's all worth the experience and it's all worth taking it. So these were a few things that I wanted to share with all of you about what you can do in your profile building. To just quickly summarize what I have told you guys today. Firstly, make sure that you are unique. And by making sure you're unique, you should that you're unique. Stay confident about yourself. Build your resume. For all those second and first years who are watching this session, remember, please, if you cannot make your resume, it's totally fine. Go set up an account on LinkedIn, okay? And just download your profile link. That's more than enough as a resume. If you want, I can just show you how you can do that. Is this my account? Yep, this is my account. Yeah. So you can just go to your profile, go to more and save to PDF or build a resume. You can keep doing this over and over again. And you'll actually, this is more than enough if you're trying to get an internship at startup. I would definitely tell you guys that when you're in your second year, go ahead and apply to a few startups because you have the time in your hand, okay? Apply to startups or sit and upskill yourself. One of the two options. These are the best ways you can make sure that your resume is great, and make sure that you strengthen your profile. And that could be anything. Share stuff that you have done. This was as I said, this was a application and a UI UX design I came up with my friend. And you need to make sure that you share it and tell why you did a good job with it. Share your successes, share your failures on LinkedIn, because that just shows you're making progress. A LinkedIn profile is a great way to attract people and attract people who are interested in working with you. After that, as I would say, build your experience profile the way I've built it out. Add information about your companies or why you work, what did you work over there with. In your education, mention what you have done. As you can see, activities I've mentioned stuff I have worked for under University of Mumbai, that is VESIT, as a writer or anything of those sorts. If you have a certification which is worth being kept out, do it. I wouldn't say a Coursera certification is a big thing and people don't really pay much attention to it, but you should go ahead and do it. This is my volunteer experience that I have from teaching at an NGO every Sunday. So this is about it. And lastly, it's about recommendations. Okay. If you have worked at some good company as a startup, you don't take the money if you want, but get a recommendation. Okay. Do whatever you can to get a recommendation out of them, because a recommendation goes a long way. I have seen people who have 6, 7 recommendations, and it's human mentality, right? It's just think about it. You would always think that if someone is pitched to you by someone else, okay, by a few other people, you'd always think that this person is trustworthy. I can trust his skills. I can trust who the person is. And you can actually go and I have a rule. Every time I have to leave an internship, I simply tell them that what are the incentives you are going to provide me. This is also something you can take up in the beginning, but towards the end, make sure that you remind them that they need to pay you up and all of that. And ask them that in addition to this, would you be grateful enough to just go ahead and drop a recommendation for me on my LinkedIn handle? And if they actually go ahead and do it, it's the best thing that can ever happen. So in addition to recommendations that I have received, I have also given to a few of my friends, because people have actually benefited from this. This person was someone who worked with me in my company, and I gave him a recommendation because that actually helped him land an internship or a placement somewhere when he was in his 4th year or 3rd year. So all of these things are very important to keep in mind when you're going and building your LinkedIn profile. So keep all of these small things in mind. People usually skip out the recommendation aspect of it, but go ahead and see any person's profile, any CEO's profile. He has got recommendations in it. So put a lot of emphasis on it. Accomplishments, awards, languages, make sure that you mention them. Make sure that you mention the projects you're doing. Projects are very, very important for trying to land a tech job, okay? And you need to mention it and add it on your GitHub profile as well. Now, when it comes to honors and awards and courses, if you have quite a few of them, don't mention all of them. Try to cut short, because then at one point it seemed like the Hindi word for it would be Dhindora Pitofying, but you deserve to Dhindora Pitofy. Okay, so make sure that you put all the things that you have, but to a limit. So you don't need to, as you can see over here, I've written school all around 2015, 16, 17. You don't need to write it individually. That's what I'm trying to say. The word that you have done a lot of things because you deserve to do it. Okay, you deserve it. But in addition, just don't stretch it too much. Okay, and if you're still working on your profile, then go ahead and mention the other small things as well, because you may not believe it, LinkedIn is the only platform where you can celebrate any success you have. Big, there are people I have seen on LinkedIn who have just posted, woke up today and chose to study, and people actually celebrate it, because that's the whole vibe of LinkedIn. People are here to motivate you. You don't need to be a school all-rounder, a college all-rounder, or a big shot just to have a LinkedIn profile. You can go ahead and make a profile. You can develop a profile just by, making the right choices. Lastly, talk. Okay. LinkedIn is a great place to stalk. Drop Tinder, Bumble, and Instagram and Facebook and come to LinkedIn. You can actually stalk people on what they're doing and understand what their journey was. Now, to just put it very simply, Sujit happened to be someone from my college, and I went on to just stalk him, and I figured out what his journey was by seeing the experience he has had, by what accomplishments he has, what are the courses he did, how did he get to where it got. Your LinkedIn profile speaks a lot about you. You don't even need to go ahead and meet before, you can actually figure everything about him just by his LinkedIn profile and how well developed it is. That is pretty much it, I think, about your LinkedIn profile. So this is something you need to focus on, and go ahead and network a lot. Networking is the best way you can find people. Go ahead, recollect and search for people, and figure out what they're trying to do. These are a few methods and tricks that help me get to where I am. If you have any doubts, please hit me up on the chat box.
Great. Thank you so much, Sneha. That was a kick-ass presentation. Such an amazing presentation. Such important stuff that you discussed. Anyways, keeping in mind the time, does anyone have any quick questions to Sneha? You can put them in.
If you don't, then you come with some link. Go ahead and drop me a message on LinkedIn.
That would be in chat box. You can find it. So yeah, let's move on to the next speaker. Dheeraj, can you please introduce?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sneha.
Thanks a lot, Sneha, once again. So our next speaker is a full stack product designer and has founded the first successful developer students club at RIT College and became one of the 278 leaders selected from across India. Along with that, she's also the GitHub campus expert. And on top of that, she is also the founder of MichiSpotlight, which is an all-inclusive tech newsletter for students. And did I mention that she's currently an undergraduate student? Well, she is, and here to talk about her exciting new startup and lots of other insights. Let me welcome Vaishnavi Dwivedi. Over to you, Vaishnavi.
Thank you so much for that kind introduction. So hi everybody. Like, I honestly don't have a presentation for you all. So I mean, if you want, you can like just switch on your cameras if you want. Obviously, it's not necessary. I mean, it's 1 p.m. on a Sunday and nobody really wants to listen to people speak instead of like sleeping. But yeah, here we are. And I mean, the previous two speakers have covered so much of ground when it comes to, let's say, internships and LinkedIn and networking and community, being a part of communities and so many different things, basically. So I'm just gonna offer some advice, I guess, from my end. And it might not be like some of the things might not be on the things that you really learn about in your usual like sessions, and usually you hear people talk about. But what I'm going to offer you is some advice based on my own experience building communities in my college, as well as like being a student developer essentially. So so first off, like I think a lot of people like yesterday, I'm not really sure if they are here in the participants, but a lot of people messaged me yesterday about the session, and they were excited to know about internships and basically like how to become a better developer, how to build your personal brand, things like that. So I think in the first session, I think the first speaker, he mentioned that there are two ways to build your personal brand. One is LinkedIn, and the other one is Twitter. And I mean, I'd like to talk a little bit about Twitter, since I'm like, I'm active there, and that is like my hangout spot. And probably like for all startup founders, especially like people, I think in the previous session, we found out that a lot of people want to be a part of, they want to start startups, start their own company. So if you are have to join Twitter, because it is the spot where all the VCs, which are the venture capitalists, the people who are essentially, are going to fund your startup, and other startup founders are usually hanging out. That is the place. And I know that most of you, when you hear Twitter, think, oh, that is the place where Trump or these Narendra Modi tweets up, or like these celebrities have their stuff going on. But actually it totally depends on who you follow and who follows you essentially. So you can totally revamp your Twitter feed by following the right kind of people. Like I think in the first session, Ankur Warikoo was mentioned. He is very active on Twitter as well. And there are so many really good people on Twitter who have been making a lot of impact in the tech ecosystem. And if you just follow, you learn so many different things that, I mean, you won't have to attend a session like this, or you won't have to really go to a place to, understand things. You will learn, you'll be constantly consuming that kind of content. So that is really important. Twitter also has this one more feature. I think a lot of you might have heard about Clubhouse, and Twitter has a very similar feature inbuilt into Twitter, which is called Twitter Spaces. And this space has helped me a lot to one-on-one connect with a lot of great people on Twitter. I mean, like I don't want to brag here, but like I personally know so many great personalities from Twitter just because we've interacted on these Twitter spaces. Even though we've never really met in person, we've just interacted over the internet, and we've had really productive discussions around so many different topics like internships, job opportunities, being building a personal brand. And honestly, even if you don't pay attention to your LinkedIn or your Twitter, when some hire you, they are on a fact finding mission. They want to know everything about you. So even if you don't maintain your LinkedIn profile, they will check it. They will try to find you on LinkedIn. They will try to find what it is that you are doing. So if you are prepared for those hidden facts about you, like that, being a good target in that finding mission, you will pass that sort of assessment of recruiters and people who are responsible to hire you essentially. So even if your LinkedIn profile doesn't have a profile picture or anything for that, just your college, just your name, or just like some basic information, that will actually be very detrimental for your own personal brand. So it really doesn't matter if you're posting or if you're doing anything using that profile, but make sure that it is at least in a way complete, so that if one lands on it, they are able to find stuff about you, and they are able to come to that conclusion that, okay, this person is not completely useless. They might actually be an asset to my organization or company or startup or whatever it is. So the same goes for like Twitter as well. Twitter, it's so much easier to make content on Twitter because I mean, there's a character limit and you can just like, it's basically like a stream of consciousness. You can tweet about literally anything and it won't matter really. But obviously, if you tweet things that are more productive in nature, things about, let's say, yesterday I was doing some authentication on my on my personal project, and I was very agitated by it, and I just tweeted about it on Twitter, and so many people replied with help, or with some suggestions that you should actually do this, you should use this provider or that provider, so that it will make your life easier. And now that you hate authentication, you won't hate it that much, essentially. So yeah, like that is how Twitter essentially works. And there's no roadmap to it, like, really. I mean, you can just you just have to give it your own flavor. Your profile should have your own flavor. Like, it should be it could be like completely linear, could be like completely casual, but it will also contain a lot of good advice for people who are like just building their career, or maybe something. But you have to have that kind of niche around you. So if you want to tweet about startups, you can do that. If you want to tweet about developer stuff, you can do that as well. So you just need to make sure that your niche is a little bit specific, so that people who are interested in that kind of content, they can follow you. So that is just like a little bit of advice around Twitter. Other than that, I feel I also want to talk about one more thing, which is procrastination. I think all of us, whether we are developers or anything in the tech ecosystem or even outside, if you are like involved in work, basically, we have to have we have to deal with procrastination, essentially. So procrastination actually can be very good for you. How? Because I mean, I know that is a very stupid and weird notion, that procrastination being good for someone. How? If you are procrastinating on things, there's a high possibility that you're procrastinating on something, and if in that time you do try to do something that might not be a immediate priority, but it help you expand your knowledge. So for example, I want to do my assignments, I actually have to do my college assignments right now, but instead I'm procrastinating and giving this session. This is like a form of procrastination only. There's also, like, some people, when they are procrastinating, they watch YouTube videos. So instead of watching, like, blooper reels, or something that is completely out of context, you can watch maybe you can watch podcasts, or listen to like, you don't actually watch podcasts, you listen to podcasts, and you can watch videos that are actually sort of in some way educational, and that can help you just go ahead and do well in your career. So you can try to do these things. While I was procrastinating last year, I came across this software, this newsletter publishing software called Substack. And that's when I decided that I want to start my own newsletter. And that's why I did it. I used to get a lot of DMs from people asking me how to get internships, how to, prepare yourselves for stuff. There's one thing that I think not a lot of people mentioned today, and it's a very important part of internships, and it's called referrals. So when you do networking, a lot of networking, referrals are a result of that. Why do you do networking? Why do you want to build a personal brand? Why do you want to do something? So you need to have that kind of a outcome in your head, that okay, I am doing this because I want this. Okay, if you don't have that kind of goal in your mind, you won't be able to do it consistently. You won't be able to find value in building a personal brand, because building a personal brand is literally like a full-time job. You have to put in a lot of effort into it, and if you don't do it, then I mean, it won't give you that kind of results either. So I personally had to put in a lot of time. Like, I've been putting time into LinkedIn and Twitter, not Twitter, but like at least LinkedIn since my second year. And I'm in final year right now. And now I can like reap the results of those hardworking hours, and, those like posting a lot of stuff and doing a lot of things. So, yeah, I mean, essentially that's that. So basically you need to have that kind of goal in your head. And what is that goal essentially? So let me just give you an example why a personal brand is important. When I think in even in the previous session, someone had mentioned that, getting internships, there are like a few platforms for it. You definitely have those platforms, but just a little bit of a fact about me, I have never really applied to any internship, especially the paid ones. In first year, I had applied internships via Frap and Internshala and like these other platforms. But since second year, I did not apply for any internships. I did a startup in my second year. I built an app, like a community app for my college at RAIT. I think most of you might know what RAIT college is. I think it's nearby only, near Chembur. Not near Chembur, it's in Nerul, but yeah. But yeah, RAIT, we had built a app, a community app for our college, and I had contributed to it in a way that it was published on the App Store and people were downloading it, and there was a lot of things that were going on, and I mentioned that on my resume sometimes, and I got that way, like when I put that on my LinkedIn, I posted about it as well many times on LinkedIn, and I talked about this with people who I connected via LinkedIn as well. So that is how like people got to know that, okay, Vaishnavi is working on this app, and like it is made in Flutter, and she published it on App Store as well. So someone in another startup got to know about it, and when I left Interact, they sort of they approached me to build their own app, and that's how I got another internship. And that is how like the whole compounding effect thing happening to me. Like I didn't know, I just never applied to any internships after that. Like people just started approaching me left and right via DMs and other stuff, because I was talking about my work, I was advocating about my work, and I was doing real work. Like I was not building calculator apps or clones and social media clones, Twitter clones, Netflix clones. I was not doing that. I was building real apps, and it was used by real people. So I think when like the tip number one here is that when you're building personal projects or when you're building any project, make sure that even if it is like not necessarily useful in that way, even if it's a game, it should be usable by people, usable in the sense that if you give whatever it is that you have built to another person, they can use it without facing a lot of bugs, or without having to run the whole code by themselves. It should be deployed somewhere. It should have that kind of stream, is that smooth flow. So if you are doing, and if you are building a project like that, and if you want to mention it on your resume or on your LinkedIn or somewhere, you should do it in a way that it is actually usable by people. Even if it is a calculator app, it should be usable, and it should maybe also have like a pinch of your own flavor. If you are building a calculator app, you can make it a scientific calculator, or maybe you can add additional symbols, or maybe like a different kind of a theme to it, instead of just building a simple calculator app that is already available on someone's phone, right, on everybody's phone basically. So that is tip number one. Tip number two is that like when you are building a personal brand, you should definitely talk about it, talk about your work, talk about your achievements on LinkedIn, on Twitter, anywhere possible, and try to advocate for yourself. A lot of people think that that is boasting, right? But it is fine. Even if you boast about yourself, that is completely all right, as long as it is helping you and helping others also. Like in some way or the other, maybe sometimes people might get a little bit demotivated by your achievements. That's why I stopped posting achievements on LinkedIn, but because I used to get a lot of these messages that, oh, I'm getting very demotivated looking at the things that you have done. Like I did GitHub Campus Experts, Google Developer Student Clubs, Figma Community Advocate programs. so many different kinds of programs I've participated in, and I've done a bunch of internships on top of that. So a lot of people get intimidated by everything that I'm doing. Whenever someone says that to me, I just tell them that, you should not compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 10. Even though like I am in 4th year, some of you might be in 4th year and you'll be like, okay, this person has done a lot more than I have. So I mean, and we are the same age, so I probably wasted a lot of time. Honestly, age does not matter when it comes to these things. Okay, you may have done a lot of things since your 12th grade, your 11th grade, or maybe there are people who are way better than me also. So that is completely all right, and I am totally I am totally accepting of that fact, because I really don't care about what other people are doing. I care about myself, and I want to compare myself to who I was maybe 2 years ago. If I compare myself to that person, I'm like, okay, yes, there's a considerable amount of improvement that I have done, and that way I'm happy with myself because I am on the right track. So you have to make sure that you're not comparing yourself, your chapter 1, with anyone else's chapter 10. I have been a part of the community since 3rd year or 4th year, and like even before that, and I've been doing these competitions, doing a lot of things, participating in hackathons since 12th grade. So obviously if you're starting today, that means that you really can't compare yourself with me or anyone else who has been doing it for a long time. So don't look at your age and then start comparing things. Oh shit, I'm in 4th year, I don't have anything. That's there. Another tip here is that a lot of people, when they come to 4th year or 3rd year for that matter, and like placements are nearby, and you get very desperate for internships, then you start looking at any opportunity, right? People start paying for internships also. Like if you're paying for internship, your money to the company to do their work, that is like a ridiculous idea, honestly. So if you're doing that, then please don't, because it's a scam, right? If you're doing an internship, make sure that you are getting a lot of things out of it. If the only thing that you're getting out of an internship or an event or any community experience or anything, if the only thing that you're getting out of these experiences are a certificate or a letter of recommendation, then they are not worth it. Okay, a letter of recommendation might actually work, might actually be helpful for you in the future, but these certificates, they really don't matter. So unless you are getting some knowledge out of these things, out of these experiences, then go ahead and do it. Otherwise, I mean, there's absolutely no advantage to it. So that's the thing. That's one other thing there. So one more thing that I wanted to mention here, that a lot of people, they think that internships are everything. Like if I don't do internship, that is like the end of me or anyone. Okay, so I have written this like in my newsletter as well, but I'll reiterate over here. There are a lot of alternatives to internships which are equally or more impactful than internships, like if you put them on your resume. So some alternatives to internships are that the first thing is, like, if you are a developer, or even if you're a designer for that matter, or even if you want to start a startup or you're a business person, you can participate in a lot of hackathons. Like these sites like devfolio, mlh, they have hackathons almost every weekend. Okay, so if you participate in these hackathons, like in a lot of hackathons, you get a lot of experience working as a part of a holistic team, building projects in a very less time. Okay, and then presenting your projects in front of a lot of people. And these are like some similar things that you would do in an ideal internship. Obviously, a lot of people think that in an internship you have to bring people coffee, or you have to do some menial work. That's not true. In an ideal internship, you get to be a part of a collaborative environment. You get to build stuff. You get to take ownership. You have to adhere to timelines. So participating in a hackathon is a very good parallel to an internship. Okay, another alternative is, if you can't get internships, create internships on your own. Maybe build a startup, or build a community. So if you are building a community or a startup for that matter, you are fostering an environment where you have to take care of a bunch of people, and you have to make sure that they are also collaborating with each other, and that will give you a leadership experience, which is like way better than an internship, right? So like getting a leadership and experience on your resume so early on in your life is very, very important, because then people will trust you to give you responsibilities. They will, like, it also depends on the kind of career path that you're looking at. So I think we'll talk about that in just a bit. But for now, just remember that when you are doing internships, or when you are doing these other things, these alternatives instead of internships, you might actually benefit a lot more. One other alternative for internships is open source communities and open source contributions. When you're a part of open source community or an open source project, you are contributing code to the project. You are possibly even reviewing the code of other people, which is what you should do in an ideal development internship. You have to like submit your code for review. You have to review other people's code. You have to read other people's code, and you have to understand what they are doing exactly, right? So being a part of an open source community will give you a much stronger experience than any of the internships that you might actually get, right? So open source contribution, and when you are a part of an open source community, you get to network a lot as well, which also helps in collaboration and making sure that, you know, maybe like some of these people are actually working at big companies, and they are like doing these open source contributions as a side project. So you are actually getting connected with these people like who are working at big companies, and that will really help you, like, you know, build your rapport in front of these people. And let's say in the future, if you want to apply to these companies, you can just directly get a referral from these people, which will be like so much more beneficial to your profile and to your application as well. So yeah, that's there. One more thing about like I think that these are like the alternatives. There's one more alternative, which is freelancing. And a lot of people, like, there are a lot of great sites like Fiverr and Upwork. I think it's called Upwork only. Not really sure, because I did freelancing back in 12th grade. And like at that time, these sites did not really, like, they weren't very popular. I think I did not know about them at that time. Maybe they existed back then as well. But at this point, like, freelancing projects are very, very popular. And if, let's say, you have some skills like content writing and maybe like building websites, building wireframes and UI UX design or something, graphic design, like making posts on Canva or something like that. If you're good at these stuff, you can actually do a freelance project. So that way you get like an additional pocket money, maybe to invest in your education. So basically, if you do freelance projects, you can earn a lot of money. You can buy some courses with that. So you don't necessarily need a course for the certificate. You need a course to learn from it. There are a lot of free courses available out there. But the only reason why I'm saying investing money is that a lot of individual creators have their own courses, which, you know, are of a certain you know, maybe like they charge something for that, because it's like a sort of a side income for them. So you can use that kind of money to be financially independent as well. It will help you give a lot of confidence as well, that, you know, I'm financially independent. You can start investing in stocks. That is like obviously like a little bit of financial advice there, but you can start investing, and like that will really help you convert your expenses to your wealth. Like it will be like, you know, thinking about your wealth as an entity from an early age itself, so that when you later in life, you won't have to like be worry about those things. And if you're applying for masters or something, it will help you pay for your applications, your GRE or TOEFL. I think that really helped me, because I did a lot of internships, paid internships, freelance projects, and I now have that kind of financial independence that I can pay for these things out of my own pocket. So that, because I mean, obviously parents have to pay for masters and all of those things. So yeah, I mean, that's an additional incentive to those things. But yeah, like these are some of the alternatives. If you let's say if you're not able to find internships, you can like do these things. Other than that, exploration is very important. Like I think Sneha pointed out, very rightly pointed out in the previous session, that you need to experiment as much as possible in your college life, because I mean, your college life is the only time that you've got to really understand what it is that you want to do and what it is that you don't want to do as well. So there's this thing called process of elimination that I really follow. Like when you are trying to explore something, you should first try to identify things that you really don't want to do, instead of like trying to identify whether this is something I want to do or not, or something like that. So make sure that you identify things which you don't want to do, which you definitely don't want to do very first. Try to explore them a little bit before like completely dismissing them, because they might be actually a really good career option. You might be like making a big mistake or something, but try to explore them a little bit, and try to eliminate them if you don't like working in those domains. Try to understand where you are standing, because it is very important to do that. A lot of students, what they do is they ask for roadmaps from people who are at big companies like Google or FANG companies, or like these big companies that have like a lot of packages, a lot of high packages. Don't don't try to infer from their experience. Don't try to do the things exactly as they did it, because their life experiences were completely different than what yours are. Maybe started a little different, so things that they did because they started very early on or something might not work for you, right? So just try to learn from their experience and do what you can do and do what you want to do, and try to talk with a lot of people. Don't just get that one side experience from one person. Maybe that one person's experience was completely fluke, was a complete fluke or something. Maybe it was very coincidental that they got that job. Maybe it was out of luck, because luck is a very big factor in getting opportunities at these big companies. So you can't really completely, nobody really relies completely on hard work for that. Obviously hard work and luck combined together will create your opportunities. So you just need to make sure that you're hearing every side of the coin, and then you are like, then you incorporate the things that you feel are relevant to you. So basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to figure out your own path in your way rather than following someone blindly, because that is sort of what we have been doing always. Like, maybe that bhaiya or didi got into IIT, so we'll do the exact same thing. We'll join that same exact coaching. We'll join that same exact, we'll take those same books and same courses, and then we'll get pakka into IIT or something. And that obviously did not happen for us, but that is completely all right. Obviously that was not the path for us. So we need to first understand what it is that we want to do, and then figure out what are the things that we have to do to get there. And those would be very significantly different from what the other person is trying to do, or what the other person did to get there. So don't rely on roadmaps completely. You can refer them for a, like a clean, structured approach to do things, but honestly, you have to figure out your own path, and that is like the whole purpose behind MichiSpotlight, which is the community experience that I've been building for the past, I think, 6 months. So yeah, like that's there. I think it's 1:36 now. This was like sort of like a little bit of advice from my end. I try to summarize it as much as possible, because I don't want to take up a lot of time. I think you all have been here since 11:30. So thank you so much for listening to me. If you have any doubts, you can definitely email me, or like if you want, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn and on Twitter. At any time that you want. And yeah, that's pretty much it from me. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Vaishnavi. Thank you so much. Thanks for educating our audience on making informed decisions, giving some real advice on pursuing your own path and to start becoming financially independent early. Well, so with that, we come to the end of this event. If you have any questions for Vaishnavi, please drop them in the chat box, or you can personally reach out to Vaishnavi or any of the speakers, or AutoDL themselves. We have their handles and all the links in the chat box. I learned a lot of things today, and I hope the participants, which are mainly undergraduate students, also got some real good advice and guidance on where to go from here. If you have any more queries, like I said, reach out to us on LinkedIn. We'll be happy to help you out. So thank you to the speakers, participants, and event organizers for joining today's event, which is Hack Your Career, this Hacktoberfest, which is brought to you by AutoDL in association with VESIT Codecell. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time. And I hope you found this session really informative and educative.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining.